So hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Megan Kavinsky. I'm the CEO of Point to Point, and I'm joined by,
I'm Jake Kellogg. I'm the VP of Solutions.
great to be here with you today, Jake.
Nice to
And
be here
great,
with you.
yeah, well, and great to be here with everyone else. So we're going to be talking about rethinking demand generation for the building materials industry. We're hoping, as Jake and I are talking today, that it prompts some questions or some things that you're interested in having us talk about. Just put your questions in the Q&A. It's in that top nav bar, and I already posted a note in there for all of you, so you should see a little red dot next to it, and we'll try and get to them at the end as best we can. So we're here today. We're talking about demand generation, and that's because that's where we're really feeling the pressure in our industry in building materials. Um, and and why are we feeling this pressure? Certainly all industries are feeling pressure, but I feel like building materials is feeling it more than most. And there's a great quote out there that context is worth 80 IQ points. So I want to talk a little bit about the context in our segment and why that means that we're feeling, in such a way right now, like such pressure right now. None of this is going to be new news, but it just helps put it in a moment in time specific to us. So, straight from the headlines, we're all aware that inflation has been persistently sticky. No surprise. And that means that interest rates are really high, and that means that money is expensive. So, on the residential side, we're seeing the impact of this and that homeowners are deciding to age in place. Homeowners who have those great low rates from a year or more ago are staying in their houses. There's nowhere for them to go. And they're doing a lot of remodeling projects. And where we used to see the remodeling projects be a lot larger, at this particular moment in time, we see it really trending to smaller projects, things that are like under $10,000, where before it was more major renovations. Uh, on the commercial side, right now, I feel like we're right at the precipice of this real estate crisis in the commercial segment. Those are the headlines that we're starting to see percolating. I'm anticipating that we're going to see quite a few defaults and foreclosures here later this year and early into 2024. But then that's probably going to be an uptick in buildings being renovated into more residential use to help fill that housing shortage, or more hybrid live workspaces, very, very similar to the type of office actually that Point to Point is in. So what we're seeing is this era of remodeling, homeowners right now with low rates, aging in place, doing remodeling projects, commercial real estate likely tending towards more of a remodel market. And what this means is that building materials companies are needing to compete in ways that we really haven't had to until this year. Since the pandemic, demand has been so high and then product availability was so low that there was like 3 years where marketing's focus was really on supply chain, your key customers, SKU consolidation, new product development, not a lot of Marcom focus. But now we're getting back to where marketing communications and demand generation really need to win the day. And because of this, building materials companies are trying to do a lot all at one time, trying to build or rebuild their Marcom systems, trying to get the demand generation out in market and win. And when you're trying to do so much all at once, there are bound to be cracks in the system. So, Jake, I'm curious to hear, where do you see building materials companies struggling the most?
Really in three areas. First, sales and marketing is still in silos. Second, when they think about their content and their campaigns, they're not giving the amount of value and being aware of the amount of content that you need to be running modern campaigns. And campaigns are lacking an overall holistic strategy. So with sales and marketing in silos, organizations are not getting the benefits of the collaboration of those two teams. It leads to insufficient lead nurturing, bad follow-ups on hot leads, and even negative customer experiences for people going through marketing programs, but they've not been connected to sales properly. So you have somebody come through who's a lead, who's ready to talk to someone, who's ready to buy, and then sales gets in there, doesn't know what's going on, or they restart the sales process and the conversation, and the customer is left to be frustrated. They're not, and also by not having them de-siloed, you're not collaborating on what quality leads and qualified leads are together. And this can really lead to things that I think a lot of sales and marketing teams experience, like sales team is telling them these aren't the leads we need, or these are unqualified leads. So removing that sales and marketing barrier between them and having them collaborate on that is going to help you get to that. Communication between the teams is also a big challenge when they're siloed. 41% of marketers are struggling to communicate their content strategy to sales. And when we think about the value and relevance of content strategy in these B2B customer experiences, that's enormous. And so if the sales team doesn't understand what the content strategy is or what content they have at their disposal to help move people through the sales process, it's not going to be successful at all. And I mean, that's sales and marketing in silos has been a problem, and it definitely still is.
Tale as old as time there. Yeah.
Yes. From a content creation standpoint, this is a lot of, quite often, the first time that these clients are doing demand generation, and just they don't really understand the amount of creative support, content support, digital support that these campaigns and media dollars need. It does require tailored content across every single channel to be really and highly effective. And you really need to make sure you're taking into consideration all the nuances that come with each of those channels as well. And then from a holistic strategy standpoint, we have, you were just really hitting on it there. Marcom needs to do more to impact the business. And we're seeing clients and customers really focus too much on having campaigns being entirely focused on driving business results to their detriment. So having media campaigns or strategies that are only focused on lead gen and not taking into consideration the value that focusing on awareness and consideration can have on the performance of lead gen. And the other thing that goes with it too is just not having the first party data or using your first party data incorrectly to accurately target and reach the people you need to. And then really the last thing, again, a tale as old as time, packing too many messages into the messaging. Now that you're getting back into market, you have something to say, you have a campaign, putting way too many things in there, and then you end up saying nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we see that, that's a lot. That could be its own whole conversation right there. And in everything that you just said, there's quite a lot there, so let's begin to unpack each one of those a little bit. So, I made the joke that the sales and marketing being siloed is sort of a tale as old as time, and it is. So why do you think that within our industry that building materials, sales and marketing teams stay, not feeling like they're always on the same team?
Our industry is a sales-driven industry, and it has been for a very long time. Selling through distribution, sales has been in charge of the customer relationship, in charge of the distributor relationship, and managing that flow all the way through. And now that marketing has a larger voice at times or more capabilities, the collaboration or the understanding of what marketing can bring to the table is sometimes not there by the sales team. So their view of what marketing can provide nowadays, I mean, I've been in this industry for 15 years, and demand generation now is very different from it was 5 years ago, and way different from when it was even 15 years ago. So quite often we see an outdated view of what marketing can do to support sales. And then, you just have marketing teams are quite often just order takers for the sales teams who just need to get the content done for them so they can go out and sell. And they've not had an opportunity to prove their worth and how they can impact the business.
Yeah, there's just so many, large organizations in building materials, legacy of, long legacies. Like it's not uncommon for our clients to be 50, 75, 100 years old. And you think about all that infrastructure and all that history and all that, I don't know, muscle memory that they have about the way that you do things and how how the relationship should work versus how it could work. I mean, it really requires a lot of organizational change. So,
And we've seen some take the change too,
yeah, so
and
tell
it's
me about that. Tell me about where you see people working to make to make this relationship different.
yeah. So one of our clients actually had a very serendipitous opportunity during COVID, and during COVID, their competitors were all out of stock out of their products, and this really let them enter into a larger portion of the market. So no competitor products are in stock. Distributors need to keep these projects moving. They subbed in our clients' products. What that meant for about a year and a half, because they had inventory, was that the sales team was somewhat rendered less effective than they were because they were just getting sold by because they had products available. So the client took this opportunity. They had an outside sales force. They fired the outside sales force,
Well,
rethought
by
their
outside sales force, you mean sales agents, not like,
sales agents.
yeah,
Yeah,
sales
yes,
agents,
yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, sales agents. And so, they were splitting time on their sales agents with other brands. They didn't necessarily feel like they had the full focus. And so they decided to bring it in-house, create their own sales team in-house, and that really brought them a lot of the benefits that we've talked about already, enhanced collaboration or forced collaboration with marketing now because you're employees of the same organization, more stringent guidelines for how customer interactions go and how you capture data. So now this customer gets to have all of that first party data and more information about their clients that they're able to share with marketing. And it's really impacted their ability to respond to opportunities that are in front of them much faster and bringing in marketing in different ways than they had previously. Instead of, oh, I have a customer conversation, I need a sell sheet. It's like, okay, we have a really big opportunity with this developer or this contractor. How can we go about it? How can we win this? And it's been a much better relationship for them.
Yeah. Having had the benefit of watching this happen along with you, other things that I've been amazed by is how much faster they're able to respond to things, so sort of what you were saying, but also in terms of just how they prioritize the market as a whole, in terms of really
Mm-hmm.
understanding where they have a right to win and their ability to turn programs and even products around that go and fill that need because they have such stronger alignment and such a better pulse on where their true opportunity stands.
Yeah, I think they feel way more connected to their market and their customers now because they have it
Hmm.
in-house.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about the second thing that you mentioned, which is underestimating the volume of work that you need to do to create a contemporary demand generation campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're talking, I certainly know what goes into this. And as I was listening to you at the beginning, I mean, it just sounds like a lot of work. And, it sounds like so much work that it could just even shut down a conversation within an organization about getting started here.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you do that? How do you get a company or how do you lead, as a marketing lead, how do I get my organization to understand what it will take to do it right? And get them to buy in to take that first step.
So yeah, yes, there is a lot. And it can be daunting for these companies to see the opportunity that demand generation can promise to them or can deliver for their business and not get excited about it and put a lot of energy and focus behind it. And what we really try to do, I mean, one of the first things we do when we engage in projects is we start a measurement and learning plan. And so we step back and we really look at the overall campaign, and we're trying to define what the business needs to deliver to prove that this is successful beyond just leads. What is the business trying to learn? If they've not run media in years, maybe we need to start establishing benchmarks internally. Maybe they have messaging that they have not been able to put out in the market at scale. They need to see how people are responding to that. So that's really the first thing is determining what success looks like up front. And from there, it just moves into an exercise in focus. What do we need to do to move people through their customer journey to achieve the goals that we want to achieve, but then still support them in all of the ways that they need it? I mean, you can't just show somebody one display ad and they've become a lifelong customer. We need to know what the triggers they have, know what their buying experience looks like, and make sure we're supporting them with content throughout that. That's really the important part. And the content is where what you're talking about, where it can feel daunting, is where we often see campaigns underfunded. We have the media budget, we have maybe a creative budget, but from a landing page experience or from a storytelling experience and those experiences after the landing page is where it often falls down. And again, it just comes back to focus and trying to maximize each opportunity you have rather than spreading all of your peanut butter thin across all of your different opportunities.
Hmm. I like what you were saying about focus, trying to pick an area where, hopefully there's a better opportunity to show we were here, nothing else changed, and we did this, and results are here. And the
Mm-hmm.
challenge, though, in our industry, especially on the commercial side and driving specification, is those lead times can be so long. So, but focus, I think, is key. And there's another place I think in content creation that I see our clients getting hung up, and that's my hypothesis is this happens because it's a lot of times the first time an organization is doing it, and there's so much budget associated with it. People aren't really sure what's going to happen. They're nervous. They want to follow every step of the way. So we see where there's like 5 or 6 people that are following the project all the way through, and everyone's trying to give feedback on the assets or the campaign all the way through. And so I would say, my perspective is that the
Yes.
focus also needs to go down to empowerment. Like once you get the strategy and the concept set, empowering like one key stakeholder in the organization to really get that campaign in market the right way, or it's going to just slow it down so much that you could even miss the opportunity to be able to get out there when the market is hot.
Yeah, or even the work just gets so diluted because now there's so many stakeholders. What we're trying to do when we establish these campaigns is not only find what's working, but also find what's not working. And you need the variety in the content and in the assets out there to see what's working and when what's not working. We see collaboration. I mean, we truly believe that collaboration makes our work better. There's
Hmm.
definitely a time and place for it. We want that collaboration on the front end with a larger team, sales, marketing, whatever stakeholders might be involved. But as we move into execution, that's where we really would like to see the marketing team play that role and defend the variety in the work and be the stewards of that, because the data is going to tell us what works or not. That's what we want to see performing. Everyone is going to have preconceived notions as to whether they think this message is going to work or if this type of content might work. Let's let the customers tell us, let their experiences tell us, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of companies overlook the data as truly being the voice of the customer, right?
Yeah.
Like the best way to figure out, what's going to work best is to let your customers tell you. And so getting your campaigns in market and seeing what the customers tell you is going to be really the deciding factor.
Mm-hmm.
So the last thing that you mentioned was that you see paid media campaigns lacking a holistic strategy. So, talk to me more about what that means. What is a holistic strategy, and where do we see the lacking happening most often?
Yeah, I think the best way to explain this is just with another client example. So we had a client who was running demand generation programs that we took over, and they hired us to take them over because they were starting to question their messaging overall and the efficacy of the channels. They were very focused on driving leads. And when we took a look at the campaign and really got under the hood, we noticed what a key element was missing was really the style and the way that the media was being bought. All of their media was being focused on that demand generation, on the lead generation aspect and on conversion. And they weren't using the media to attract people into the funnel and to move them through that process. And when we came in and were able to explain to them the value of a modern media mix, how it's going to pull more people through, we were able to adjust the campaign, and it's been performing great since. It's not been the channels, it's not been the message. It really has been the media strategy and the media plan that we brought in that really re-engaged that campaign and made an impact on their business.
So, tell me a little bit more. more specifically, how did that work? Was it you came in, you generated awareness, and then you turned that off and you turn back on the demand gen? Do they run at
Right.
the same time? Is there like a specific ratio or number?
Yeah.
How
So we
exactly
we
does
have
the
a
design?
magic bullet that no, I'm just kidding. We don't have a magic bullet.
Yeah.
We really like to, again, going back to the data and going back to letting the work tell us what's working. We used a combination of campaigns at once. And so we had multiple different messages running in an awareness phase, conversion, and a lead generation stage. But I mean, this really comes back to demand generation campaigns needing to be successful because the media strategy is right, the creative strategy is right, the business strategy is right. And so we were able to make sure we had experiences and messages that aligned to the customer journey all the way through. So again, going back to content, having the right content that supports people through the journey, that was one aspect. So, to answer your question simply, it's not a magic bullet. It's many things at once. We're running many different campaigns within a broader one to see what's working on different channels, different ad unit types, different messages. And we're needing to run all of those because again, it's people's behavior that's driving this. It's not formulaic, it's preference, it's how the market's responding, it's trends that are happening in the industry. And all of those things are impacting what we're doing. And so we need to have the variability in the campaign to see what's working and what's not.
Well, I would say the magic in all of it is how our team really actively optimizes the campaigns, right?
Yes,
Selfishly, a
yes,
little shameless self-promotion for our team there
yes,
that, they really do have, not a set it and forget it sort of
correct.
mentality at all, where, we have a general plan of what we're going to do. And as we see things in the market, we're able to then pull different levers to make sure that the results are what we want them to be for our clients or what our clients need them to be.
Yes.
So we do have a question that came through in the Q&A, which is, how has the prospect to customer journey evolved in B2B? Or what factors will enhance a B2B buyer to move off a trusted supplier? And how does marketing support this? So there's a couple questions in there. Let's start with the first one, like just that prospect to customer journey evolution in B2B and how that has changed. I mean, I think the obvious first one is just the amount that people are willing to do self-guided,
Yes.
and even their level of comfortability to make very large purchase decisions in our industry, without really talking to someone. Especially once you're familiar with at least the brand overall, and maybe you're comfortable with a few of their products, more likely to take a flyer on, tens, if not, could be at times even be hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of product, with very little interaction with the sales organization.
Yeah, I would say the other thing that I've seen change too is, I mean, since we're in, building materials, it is the focus on performance. And, as you were saying, that the prospect is often dark until they reveal themselves, could be 80, 90% of the way through their customer journey. But by the time they get to that 85, 90%, they want specific details on performance. They want specific guarantees because what we've seen lately too is just fear of litigation, fear of bad experiences with products. And so that customer journey really goes from being, the company and the brand being unaware of these individuals to we need to provide highly specific data and really move these people to conversion and purchase as quickly as possible because they finally have raised their hand. They don't need the
Mm-hmm.
product explained to them. They understand how it works. They are looking for the guarantees that they need to get this moving now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot on the commercial side, what you'll see is that people are raising their hand to talk to you about a specific project, not
Yes.
where they've already identified that this product will have potential benefit or is in their consideration set, and they need help more so with how they begin to even get into the design, so
Mhm.
it's a much more technical sale now also, I think, because it is and you have, I also think, a less, um, someone who has less experience on the other side, especially on the commercial side, where, you've seen so much change in architectural firms and their familiarity with certain product categories or certain product types, that there is quite a bit of education that could still need to happen. They might have narrowed it down, but maybe it's not exactly the right product because they don't fully understand the full integration into the overall design itself.
Yeah, and that's where the brand turns in from supplier to, partner in the project and, helping them think through whether it's building science or how any aspect to the project. That's where we see brands also being able to support the commercial side of the business differently.
Mm-hmm. So another part of this question was really, I think, about changing behavior, which is always sort of like the holy grail of marketing. So
Mm-hmm.
in this case, I think the question is really about how you would, let's say someone's very comfortable working with someone, but you're trying to win their business. How do you get a buyer to switch over to you? And
So it,
what's marketing's role in that?
yeah,
Like, other
yeah, and
than some golf and yeah, yeah.
don't donuts and coffee. Yeah,
Mm,
I mean the way we see this is just really through the different styles of demand generation is where my head goes to first. When I see a question like that, I think about something like account-based marketing, like where we have very deep insights about a specific customer. This is a specific target because they represent a big opportunity for the business. How do we approach them with a very different message and a very different experience to everyone else because of how much we know about them and the value we can deliver for them? And I think that's where account-based marketing can really start to fit into uh, these sales processes and these types of customers where, again, it's maybe more of a known quantity as to what we're getting into and what the opportunity is.
yeah, I think there is probably a reason why, if they're even starting to have a conversation with you, even though that there may be a trusted supplier there, there's a reason why um, they're answering the salesperson's call, and it's on the salesperson to really probe and understand where that supplier is falling short. But then it's on marketing, and that hopefully as the de-siloing continues to occur, but it's on marketing to make sure they have the right content or support that can then help open up that into a bigger conversation and into the full value proposition of what your organization is able to provide to them. Because maybe you have more sustainable products, maybe you have a better rebate program, but there has to be some sort of pain that exists, from that individual, or they wouldn't have been open to the conversation in the first place from that particular supplier. Well, we're pretty much at our time. So we're thrilled that you guys all joined us today. Thank you so much for being here. We have an ebook coming out that is about demand generation for building materials at the beginning of September. So be on the lookout for that. And then while this time we talked a lot about mistakes and then how to overcome them, next month we're going to be doing this again, and we're going to be talking just about where do we see companies getting it right off the bat, and how do you build on that success. So if you enjoyed your time with us today, we hope you'll join us again next month. Again, we'll be sending out information about exactly how you can join us very soon. So thank you guys, and check your inboxes.